Hey,
Hi, how are you?
I am good, thank you. That was a very quick connection. I just literally added you and you appeared. I love it. Hopefully, that's just a positive sign for the rest of this interview.
Yes, I'm quick. When it comes to arriving on time, I'm very prompt.
I love that. I'm the same and I appreciate that. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining me today. Before we begin, I will do a bit of an intro just about the show. This is something I created last year as I ventured into music before never having really learned anything about music, singing for the first time during lockdown. It was a nerve-wracking process, but I
Oh,
learned a little bit as I went on, released some music, got some really great response, which was amazing. But this year, I thought, actually, I need to talk to artists who've done this for a while, who kind of know the ins and outs of it, who are longer than I have, maybe, and really explore what it means to have longevity in this industry, which, again, is super hard to define, and everyone has their own experience. So I am joined today by Alli. I'm so glad that you're joining me today to talk about your experience. For people who don't know who you are, give us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been doing music.
okay. I love your intro because you and I are so alike in the same in many ways. Yeah, I've been playing music for about 20 years. So I've been actually working a piano and learning how to use my voice for a long time. But in terms of actually like producing music and creating a product and sharing, having something tangible to share more than just on a performance basis, that part is very new to me. So
Yeah.
I'm still learning about the industry itself as well. But in terms of the creativity side of it, yeah, I've been at it for a little while, just gathering information from everywhere. That's really what the game's about. It's just
Yeah.
gathering information.
Yeah, it really is. I think what music is one of those things where I think you're constantly learning, and just artistry in itself. I think you're constantly learning what kind of artist you are, like what other people are doing, because we may wear many hats. You know, we're marketing, we're doing interviews, we're really doing things outside what people see, and I think it's a lot to learn for one individual. So it is a learning process. I'm glad we can join forces on this and kind of share our experiences. So you're based in Canada, and what I was reading up on, and I hear it in your music, which first of all is fantastic. Like, I'm a little
Thank
bit
you.
obsessed. So I've heard the previews of the album Outside Voice, which we'll get into a little bit more. But I love your tone. And one of the things I was reading up was you were influenced by Amy Winehouse, Aretha
Mm.
Franklin, really like powerhouse, like jazz, soul, fusion, artist. Why did you gravitate towards artists like that, do you think?
Um, Honestly, it's the expressive nature of it. I spent a little bit of time in choirs when I was growing up, and what I always loved about choirs was the one person who gets to stand out front and just like, yeah, 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 right? Just like stand out there and do it while the rest of the choir is just like, right?
Yes.
And so that was always kind of what drew me into that sort of side of things. And then of course, yeah, I discovered Aretha Franklin because she was already ubiquitous by the time I was born and growing up, right? So I found her probably on the radio somewhere, in my mom and dad's car or something, probably. And I was just like, wow. um, and then of course, yeah, you mentioned Amy Winehouse. I mean, she was her own, I don't know, I like the term freak of nature, but it sounds maybe to other ears, it sounds negative, but it's not. She
Yeah.
just had this aura about her of like, here I am doing my thing, not really caring about what you think about it,
Right.
just take it or leave it. And she also took bits and pieces from everywhere. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
just like all these people who do that kind of work, just my heart is her
Yeah.
song.
Well, you know what? It's actually interesting you say, you know, you kind of, you know, we're surrounded by music in church and, you know, gospel music even. Gospel music is incredible because I think it really teaches an artist how to, like you said, the layering, right? There's one person at the front doing all the ad libs, and then everyone really feels the music. So everyone's actually really involved in those pieces. And then Amy Winehouse, which I can tell is a huge influence for you, because there is a very similar like tonal quality I think that you have with Amy Winehouse, and I agree. I think she's an artist that I feel maybe not freak force of nature. She was just
Yeah,
somebody
that's a
who,
nicer word.
yeah, she just, I love her just being unapologetically who she is. And that is such a rare thing to do for an artist, right? We get so conscious about everything just as people, forget being artists, just as people. So have you ever kind of battled that insecurity as an artist, and how have you overcome it? Because you seem fairly confident, you know, through your music, through your videos and everything like that.
Yeah, I chuckled a little bit because I mean, of
Yeah.
course, we all have it. I think most of us have it. I
Yeah.
think that there are some who don't, and that's okay. That's okay. They're doing their own thing. I'm not looking for anyone to judge in that regard. But yeah, I definitely struggled. I always used to think about like getting my music degree. I used to have the vision of pushing a huge rock up a hill because it took me a long time to do an
Mm.
undergrad. And so I was just chipping away at it. It took me 8 years to get a bachelor's degree, and I was watching all of these classes graduate. People who joined after me were graduating. People who were much younger than me were graduating. And they were playing at this level that I really admired. And I was just like, oh, why?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And I
Yeah.
think I quit. I think I quit piano once a term, every term for my whole degree. But I never quit. Like I quit for the night, and then in the morning I'm like, okay, let's make tea,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and go back to it because yeah, it's rooted in comparison, right? It's just
Yeah.
like
I
watching
think
other people and going, why am I not them?
yeah, 100%, 100%. I think every artist will experience that in some form or shape. And you know, I'm a strong believer that, you know, the kind of whatever faith you have is your personal faith, but the universe has a plan for you. So whether your time was with the younguns or with people who are slightly older, or today or tomorrow, it's the right time. So I think you know, listening to your album as well, you know, hearing the previews for that, I think, you know, the time you've taken to kind of really cultivate you know, a piece like this, it really makes you quite an authentic artist. You know, you really hear who you are, your tone, your stories, your and just playing with it. I think you know, the single 20 questions, let's get into that first. It really has a fun vibe, which, you know, a lot of the time music is really hard to convey just a feeling of joy unless it's like Happy by Pharrell or like super super chirpy, but this one has like a real good funk to it. Has writing music come from a personal experience for you? Has it been sort of a therapy for you, or has it been things that from experiencing, you know, from outside, you know, your friends, your family?
Yeah, my writing, this album that I wrote, it's ultimately about personal growth, really. I've written, the lyrics are often directed outward, but yeah, it's ultimately about setting boundaries and learning about myself and what that means, and
Right.
ultimately releasing it is kind of a way of hopefully getting others to reach whatever point that they need to kind of go, oh yeah, yeah, I can make these choices too. I can do whatever I
Yeah.
want to do, and I don't have to justify it as long as I'm not hurting anybody, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, so, 20 questions in particular, that song is about a feeling more than anything else. It's just about like this weird curiosity that we develop when we meet somebody or we see somebody from a distance who's just really, really fascinating, and we're just really curious
Yeah.
about them. And, that curiosity is ours alone, so let's just keep that to ourselves. You know, like just mind your business. It's okay. Be
Yeah,
curious,
yeah.
do you, but you know, hold your distance probably though, because that's probably
Yeah.
what's right in the end.
Like, yeah, it's a great fantasy in your head, but just, keep it to yourself.
Yeah. Just,
But it is really, really a fun song, and so was the music video. How was that experience? Because being an artist is one thing, right? Being a singer, performer, whatever, but to have a video there's more elements. There's a bit of acting. There's a bit of
mm.
it's a lot being on camera.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not as used to cameras. So I'm more used to I'm more used to being recording just audio, right? So video is a different thing for me. So
Right.
I was so thankful to have this fantastic director who has experience. He's been doing this kind of work for a while. I've been watching his work online. He's Night Studios, if anyone wants to find him on Instagram. He's made so many different kinds of videos for a lot of my musical cohorts and friends, but also for just businesses and other people. And yeah, it was just great to work with him because he literally knew all the angles. Like we just shot the same little bit where I just did the same thing over and over, and he just made these adjustments, and we just perfected it and perfected it. And yeah, just a super friendly, great guy to work with. And yeah, the location was really fun, and I had my other friend Walden join me. Walden Plays. He joined me, and it was really kind of bizarre to be walking around Victoria here on the island in like a green dress and purple high heels like that, getting followed around with one guy with a camera and another
Right.
guy with a boom box, like right, and it was playing piano outside,
Yeah.
throwing my hair. My hair is the real star of that video.
I have to say that caught my eye as well. I was like, that's some luscious locks, I mean, they deserve. It should be Ali Bean featuring your hair.
Oh,
So,
really, it really should be long hair featuring Alli Bean.
oh, yeah, true.
I mean, like the braid doesn't even fit in the shot with my
Yes.
face. Like,
Yeah, it's
doesn't
impressive.
even
It's impressive. So videos, obviously add that visual element to what you're creating. Have you kind of envisioned anything from the rest of the album that you think, okay, I'd love to do some visuals for that, or have an idea of like, when I hear this song, this is what I see?
yeah, I do. I have a few visuals like that in my head. So I'm leaning towards maybe something shorter that I can do, or a photo shoot or something like that,
Yeah.
to go with some music, other music on the album. I'm really
Yeah.
excited. Ooh, this is a great opportunity for a segue.
Yes. I
I'm
was like,
really,
you did
I'm
it for
really
me.
excited. I took
Ta-da.
over. I'm really excited because I'm releasing the second single from the album is going to come out on April the 20th. So
Oh, what a segue.
yes. So you're talking about visuals for that. Could be.
Nice, nice, nice. So can you share what the single is, or shall we keep out,
Yeah,
is this
yeah.
single?
It's called Two Birds, the second
Yes,
single. I
yes.
love that one. So yeah, that one comes out second.
Oh, okay. So maybe we didn't even plan that question, but it fit perfectly to the new single. I love that song. There is another one, When the News Breaks, I think it's called. That's
Mhm.
my other favorite. I'm not gonna lie. I like that. I was kind of like, for me, can you make that a single?
I might consider it now.
No, honestly, the whole
Yeah.
album, it's such a nice spread of sounds, and you have that kind of country, rock, jazz, R&B. It's like a nice bit of flavoring for every song, and that one caught my attention. But I'm sure when people get to hear the album, everyone's going to tell you something different, like which one their favorite one is.
Yeah, totally. I had lots of different opinions about what should be the first single, and it was really hard. because, you know, I like all of them. That's why they're on
Yeah.
the album. Otherwise, like the ones I didn't like as much or didn't fit as
You
well
just didn't make
didn't
it.
make this cut this time, right? So I was
Exactly.
really, really proud of all of them. So yeah, when everybody
Exactly.
was saying, "Oh, this one, no, that one," or the track order, I had to settle
Yeah.
on a track order. You know, this is the minutia that you don't really think about when you just listen to an album. You know,
Right.
I never
And I
even
think,
at all.
yeah, and I was just going to say, I think it's really great to get the opinion of everyone, but it does come to like a personal level. Some things, and you as an artist will know the story that each song is meant to share. So the flow of it, you will know the best on how you've kind of created everything there. So yeah, it's a really solid project. I think you went down a slightly different route to I did. What I did, you know, I actually did go and record an album also. I recorded 12 songs, and when I came to releasing music, I felt single, album, EP, have I done too much? Was I a little bit extra? You know, have I gone too far in a particular sound? So how did you come to the choice of, okay, I'm gonna, you know, release this first 20 question single, and then a second single, and then work on the album at the same time as a collective project?
Well, the album itself is made of songs that I wrote over the course of several years, right? So
Right.
the oldest songs on the album are the two instrumentals. I wrote those in university, and
Right.
I liked them enough. Like those were the two from university that I liked. I wrote so much for class, and those were the two that I felt were like, yeah, those are legit. I'm keeping those.
Yeah.
Um, so having to choose what goes out first and having to decide, you know, full disclosure, I've lost my train of thought. I was like, oh, I had a bottleneck effect going on.
I was so intrigued. I was following every word, and then it was like, oh no.
I was too until they just went, you know what? Here's a wall, darling. That's what we got for you. Hit me with a question again, please. I'm so sorry.
um, so no, having all the singles like, kind of like within an album or releasing things separately, like coming to the decision of making that project whole, like a whole project. Like, how did you come to that?
Okay, no, yes, I understand better where I was going now with that is like, yeah, deciding what goes out first versus like, here's the whole thing. Is that kind of what you're
Yeah,
asking? Like, okay,
yeah.
yeah. So I was going to just release the whole thing. So my original plan, I recorded this thing in my room just during the pandemic because I wasn't like I had been gigging a lot. I had been playing around town. I was all over the place and I was teaching full time and I was doing all this work. And then I recorded the thing and I was going to just release it to Bandcamp and then just share it on Facebook and then wonder why nobody wanted to listen to it and you know, go back to the drawing board. Maybe I got to do it all again as somebody completely different because clearly who I am was just not going to work this time. So who else can I be? You know, and it was going to be this whole ridiculous thing that thankfully didn't go that way. I happened to talk to the right person, a person that I met up in Nanaimo just when I was gigging around. And she was talking to me and she had asked me, what are you going to do? And I said, oh, I got this album. I'm going to put it on Bandcamp and I'm going to like submit it for, you know, a Polaris Prize. And she chuckles and she goes, no, that's not how this works at all. Right. And so that's where my kind of learning about the business began.
Yeah.
Because I was about to just sort of step out into the world totally unprepared and then ultimately think it was a shortcoming of mine. But I decided to, of course, look into strategy a little bit more and talk about that. And I've talked to so many different people and gotten a lot of different viewpoints since that initial conversation with my friend Carolee. And
Yeah.
someone suggested the waterfall release, where you release, like, you're going to release your album, but you put a couple tracks out first because you've got this piece already and time's a ticking, right? Like, this
Right.
album, the recording is it's not like I've developed since the
Yeah.
recording. So I got to focus on the next thing, which means I got to get this one out now. So you got to get it out bit by
Right.
bit so that people hear it while you're working on the next thing. So it's,
Right.
I'm working on pushing a snowball down a hill now, I suppose, as opposed to a big rock up a hill.
Yeah, you know, it is super hard to think about. Like you said, you get so much conflicting advice, and even
Mm.
for me, I like when I created my album, I thought I was so smart. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna put like hidden, like I put some hidden elements that, you know, flow between tracks, and then I added some lyrics that actually, you know, kind of make the album a little bit more cohesive. And I thought, I was like, you know what, I've got this. I'm so intelligent. I'm not. and
Relatable.
and yeah, I think it just, you know, it comes down to kind of how you feel about that, you know, the album or whatever you're producing. In the end, for me, it was just like, actually, one song stood out for me from the whole album at my first release, which became my first single, because it was at a time where I was stepping outside my comfort zone. I was like, I've never done this. I feel kind of nervous. Everything is like scary. Please don't hate me. If you don't like it, don't say anything. You know, it was just a lot. So I kind of put the first single out, and then I kind of like, well, actually, now I can tell the story throughout my journey, because some of the songs started to mean a lot more at certain points in my life, you know, and then it just naturally worked that way. But at the same time, I think we, as artists, we put a lot of energy into things we create, right? Your album has, you know, it's a stellar album. It's not just random tracks that you thought, oh, that'll be fun to put together. And, you know, like each track is amazing. So I think it's worth putting, you know, whole projects like that. So I can't wait for it. It's coming out in June, isn't it? June, I believe.
June the
Yes.
1st.
Wow. Is that a special date for you, or?
No, I like it. I just liked it as a date, you know? I was like,
I
yep,
like it.
6/1/22. You know, like it just, I don't know, just a random string of numbers that worked for me. It's a good time of year to release. Plus, I was thinking about the video, right? The video was shot in July, so it's got like some real warm weather vibes to it, right? So that was
Yes.
kind of part of what I was thinking was when the weather starts to warm up, because then when I start
Right.
teasing it, I released it in February, so it's like bringing you warm vibes in
Yeah.
February, and then in
Yeah.
June it's like, here we are again.
More warm
So
vibes.
warmer vibes now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One of
so that's it
Yeah, no,
really.
that's super exciting. Outside voice, what does that mean? Give a breakdown of that. And why outside
Um,
voice?
outside voice, well, because I I'm a loud person. I have some pretty strong opinions, and I I've put a pretty heavy filter on just like the way that I express them these days, more boundaries around that kind of stuff, because I think that's really important. But yeah, I always kind of grew up with like, right?
Right.
Because I talk a lot, and I have a lot that I need to talk about and a lot that I
Yeah.
need to say, and sometimes, especially as adults in the adult world, we don't get the opportunity to say the things that we really want to say to people, like right to their faces. We don't really get the
Mm,
chance to say them the way we want to, maybe. Um,
right.
so it's kind of like, okay, I'm letting sleeping dogs lie a little bit, just because, like, who needs to stir about things that happened a while ago, right? But
Yeah.
like, I should probably just talk about how I feel about those things just for my own benefit. And then if
Yeah.
somebody else hears it and it feels like it's about something to them that is not the same as what it's about to me, but it's about something to them that
Yeah.
resonates and suits them, fantastic. You know, then
Yeah.
it's served two purposes.
Yeah. Yeah. I was getting distracted by the comment that from the real Morgan Freeman.
I
I
see
wanted to
that
put
the real
people.
Morgan Freeman is offering us $800. Now, is that $800 each, or I'm just asking?
because I have an EP that I want to record. There's a lot of budget that could go towards a great budget that, you know.
Yeah, totally. I hope he's not going to make us split it.
Yeah.
I hope we each get $800 from the real, the obviously real underscore Morgan, real Morgan underscore Freeman too.
Like, obviously that is him, like, clearly
obviously
is
yeah,
so
yeah.
Thank you, we're both you know, huge fans of your work.
Huge.
Speaking of outside voices, I know, like, you kind of mentioned that sometimes you have to kind of almost condense yourself and your personality and who you are, because I don't even know why, but because other people make you feel like you need to.
It's context dependent.
Yeah. No, so I think it's interesting because a lot of people experience that, and I have been talking to particularly women in music, I guess in any industry really. Have you ever experienced, you know, the battle of being a woman in music and not being like the top runners? Oh, Morgan Freeman says we're both so funny. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm so fortunate, honestly. I'm so fortunate as a woman who works in music right now, because I've worked closely with a lot of really great women in my area, in my neighborhoods that I've lived in. So like right now, I'm just preparing for a show with two really great women. I've got Frances Hope and Alex B.
Yes.
They're both going to be with me at Herman's Jazz Club here in Victoria, and they're just so great because they're supportive, right? And we just want to work together, and we just want to make great music. And so we're kind of working and strategizing together on the sly, just like, how are we going to promote this thing, and just trying to do it on our own as much as we can. It's been part of the fun.
Yeah, it's important. I know you were also featured in the Women in BC Music as well. Again, the concert that's coming up on April 7th, which is exciting. It's funny because as you grow, I think it's so important to have that sense of individuality. You know, we're so unique that we don't realize, like, actually what we bring to the table, you know, peeling off all the layers of being a woman, being a musician, being a sister, being a mother, you know, outside all of that, you will still be unique in you know, your experiences and who you are. So I think sometimes people are kind of pitted against each other because there's not many seats at the table, right? So sometimes you're made to feel like if you know, if I don't make it, if there's one seat, then one of us has to take it, not all of us. So it's really exciting and motivating to see women and people from minorities, especially from the other artists that I've been talking to, encouraging and empowering each other. And your music also has that element of, you know, empowerment in a sense. So how important is the messaging for you, for other artists, other female artists coming into music?
I think it's really vital to know yourself, to really know what matters to you and what is authentic to you before you start stepping out into this. And I say that with a bit of a serious tone because, like, I went through my entire university with, like, just a lot invested in what other people thought of me, what other people thought of music, what other people thought of the color blue. Like, it didn't even matter, right? It was just like I needed to make those choices for myself and have my own real reasons behind it, because otherwise you end up pulled in all these directions, and they're not all bad directions, right? Like, I don't want to sound like I'm going like, oh, you're going to go down a bad path. It's not like that. It's just that what you end up involved in just might not feel like you belong there. It might not feel like it's right for you. It might feel like you are fitting into it and like you're functioning, but it has to fit you. Otherwise it's going to feel like work, or and that's, you know, in the best case, it'll feel like work. And then in the worst case, you go down a bad path.
Right,
Like, you know, it's really important to know yourself. So a big part of the work that I've done since finishing university was just learning about my own psychology and how I function inside, so that when it comes to making important choices, I can make them from an authentic place and not just from, well, my partner would want this and my parents might want that, and what would my professors in university say about this? Doesn't matter. What do you say about it?
And you know what, ironically, we care so much about what other people think. It's a natural human emotion to kind of worry and be concerned about how your parent, like you said, your parents think, or your friends and family. But when you are in that space, and like you said, it becomes less authentic. And I think sometimes we don't realize how intelligent our audience and people around us are, how smart they are to see through actually inauthenticity. I think people forget that, right? You know, when you're nervous and you are pretending to be somebody else, sometimes people do see through that. You know, some of the things you say is you know, you've said something wrong, or you kind of stutter and stuff like that. But when you are genuinely just being expressive in the way that you want to be, that is more, people gravitate towards that a lot more. So I think, like you said, being authentic to who you are as a person beyond anything is super, super important. It looks like Morgan Freeman agrees with us as well. So
yes.
I'm so sorry.
Then we know we're right.
I know. I keep getting distracted because you said this account was created by my management and others to know a few fans. So thank you for joining us.
I'm glad that he found us. I mean, that's great.
Morgan and anyone watching, please do go stream Alli Bean's music. So stream 20 questions and stay tuned for the album. So hopefully, you know, we've got the seal of approval from, you know, Morgan. So it's definitely nice. An amazing thing. So
real Morgan Freeman too approves of this album.
Yes. Can you have that in your kind of like
that's going in my press kit?
Yeah.
Going in my press kit. Yes. Oh yes. Yes, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, yeah. Before we go, what's kind of the plan for you on your music journey? Beyond the album, do you have like a plan, or are you going with the flow at the moment? Sorry, before I say that, Jelly San China.
Jelly.
She's pretty awesome.
Jelly Stanchina. We go way back. Sorry. I've known that guy for like 20 years, I think.
Amazing, amazing.
Long time.
so
and the drummer from my band has joined as well. It's Dad.
Actually, I was just going to say, speaking of bands, I did notice you went, you know, you've done quite a lot of live performances. You were at the Queen's as well. I did some Instagram stalking. You're a great performer. How has it been now, being post-COVID, post-lockdown, being able to kind of perform again? How exciting is that?
It's been really great. I just did a free triple header, a 3-night tour with the Grinning Barretts. Oh, the Grinning Barretts! Whee! There's their t-shirt. Stuck in my band. I just finished doing 3 nights in a row with them. We did a night in Victoria, and then a night in Cumberland, and then we did a night in Chemainus. So that's like, you know, one of the bigger small cities, and then 2 other little cities, and it was just so fun to just hang with this great group of guys. And we had the Poubelles along with us, and we just played some Celtic punk rock.
Amazing. Why not?
Yeah, we just set up gear, and there were bagpipes, and everything was rad.
Yeah. Well, I hope we get more performances for this album. I think the tracks, I like when I'm listening to them, I'm like, actually with a full band, live in concert, that's going to be good. Well, we know you've
just rehearsing my band tonight.
Oh, amazing. See, we're just on the same wavelength. So stay tuned. If you're in Vancouver, make sure you do check out the concert on 7th of April. And if you are
Victoria,
sorry. That's okay.
It's just a big difference. Got to take a boat.
Yeah. Well, take that boat and actually stay in Victoria. Yeah, that's hugely different. I was going to say if you were in Canada, but sorry, you can see British people, Canada, Vancouver, same thing. So do go check Ali Bean Sings out. Please make sure you follow her on Instagram. Check her music out, 20 Questions. It's such a bop. It's such a tune. I can't wait for the album. I've heard the previews, and again, it's so exciting to hear somebody who's such a real amazing vocalist. So I'm excited for you, and you have your single coming out, which is exciting. Yeah, what can we look forward to in the future, and any shout outs that you'd like to give to the audience?
Yeah, well, in the future, the next album, I'm already writing it, is happening.
Ooh, okay, she's working.
Yeah, always working, always working. And yeah, just shout out to Frances Hope Music, to music.alexb, I believe is her name on Instagram. And yeah, shout out to Pat Westmacott, the Grinning Barretts, Yona Christensen, and my sister Threadmeds. I love all of you.
Oh, amazing, amazing. Thank you once again joining me. It's so lovely to talk to you virtually. Hopefully one day when I'm in the right place, maybe not Vancouver, Victoria.
Hey, maybe Vancouver.
Maybe when you're on tour, yeah. If you come down to the UK, please do let me know. Yes, it was lovely to connect. Yeah, your music would do really well here. I'm like, please bring it here.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate hearing it.
Yeah, it definitely would. But yes, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will put all the links in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. So thank you so much, Ali, and yeah, we'll talk soon. Thank you
very much. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.